Yeah, Ronnie Ward from the Ditmas section of the Flatbush neighborhood, Brooklyn, in the city of New York. Today is April Fool's Day, April 1. Don't be fooled by a heart that's cruel. Don't be fooled. Well, here you go. Joshua Phillip at Joshua Phillip on Twitter. Well, here you go. Well, here's the story. Here's the story of a lovely lady.
The largest drinking water settlement in American history was just reached for $10.3 billion. Chemical manufacturer 3M Co. has to pay out the money over a case in Stuart, Florida, applying for the whole nation, actually, for allegations that had polluted the local drinking water in places all across the country with forever chemicals. Those are chemicals that don't easily break down in the environment or the human body. They may never break down, in fact. Now, here to speak to us about this is Scott Summey. He's appointed co-lead for all plaintiffs in the multi-district lawsuit against 3M and many companies to come. Hey, Scott Summey, thanks for being on Crossroads.
Happy to be here.
So, first off, tell us about the lawsuit against 3M. Why was this filed?
I've known about this problem for a long time. I have. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, so what happened is water systems across the country that serve public drinking water, they were all facing something that was very similar to all of them, which is that the EPA has proposed the strictest regulations in their history that apply to PFAS chemicals. And we know that over 5,000 or so public drinking water systems in America have detected PFAS in their drinking water.
What they know, it's in every drinking water there is in the entire country. It's everywhere, in every stream. Yeah, every mountain, every valley, every stream. It's everywhere. It's everywhere like savoir-faire. Everywhere.
And so many of these cases were filed because the source of a lot of that contamination is fire foam, the training with fire foam across the United States over the last 60 or 65 years.
Not fire foam. In the water from chemical overspill everywhere. It's everywhere for everything. It's everywhere, not just chemical foam. No, 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 no.
And the largest market participant or provider of that foam was 3M. And so that's why 3M was obviously, a large target in these lawsuits. And all of these lawsuits were consolidated into one court in the Southern District of South Carolina in federal court.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't in Texas, at the court in Texas.
And that's called the MDL, multi-district litigation. And I was appointed.
Oh, I don't know. Gosh. In states, it's called complex litigation docket. They might, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I'll check it out.
In that case, as one of the co-lead lawyers to represent the interests of all of the plaintiffs.
So what do these chemicals do? Like, why should we care about them?
Well, what they do is, they were obviously had a huge commercial use because they were very good in fire foam.
They're in plastic. They're in every piece of plastic there is. They're in everywhere. Plastic, our food, microwave, everything, packaging. They're everywhere. Toothbrush, plastic, everywhere. They're in medical tubing, medical plastics. They're everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Because of the Plastics Council. And the EPA not regulating plastics. They don't have the authority to. They do not.
And they performed well in all waterproofing. And so they had this huge commercial value and they were used. But the problem is that these products contain PFAS chemicals, which is a family of chemicals. And the problem is that they do not break down at all. And that's why you've heard them refer.
In Europe, they outlawed these a long time ago. They did.
Referred to as the forever chemicals. And as the EPA has continued to study, they've recently realized that these chemicals...
They didn't recently. They've known forever and ever and ever. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts. They engineered the chemical bonds to make it on purpose. Yeah. Back in the day, in the 70s, when we went to the grocery store, everything was in glass. And even the milk came in cardboard wax cartons.
They're very dangerous. They can cause certain types of cancer. They can certainly attack your immunity
Birth defects in children cause you to be sterile. That's why we have all this IVF.
system, and they're very concerned about them being in public drinking water.
Well, I mean, so what's the risk to us? Should I be drinking the drinking water? What does it mean for us?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, obviously, if you had a lifetime exposure to these PFAS chemicals in drinking water, you could have issues. Fortunately, states and the federal government have and are enacting.
I don't know if they are or not. I doubt it. President Nixon and the Congress unanimously passed the EPA regulations they did to regulate all this, and then they gutted it all after they gutted it all. They did. Why do you think Nixon and Congress was so concerned about birth control and birth and all these things, Planned Parenthood and all these things? Because they were trying to avoid a crisis. Yes. They knew then. Major Senate hearings on all of this. It was gutted after Nixon left office.
The strictest drinking water standards in United States history to apply to water systems. So water systems will not be able to serve water basically.
Well, you can't stop having water, can you? What about all the packaging? It's in all the packaging. It's in all the medical equipment plastics, too. It is. It leaches from all of it.
With PFAS in it. And so that's why all these water systems are taking steps now to remove it from drinking water so that no one is exposed.
Wow. Well, so that brings us to the ruling that just came down, the settlement. Is that going to fix anything? What does a settlement actually do?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it does. It's settled out of court. It's sealed. So they get $10 billion from 3M, one company. This is extortion is what this attorney's involved in. They pick which company they want. It's all arranged with corporate America. They pay out. They do. It all goes to their insurance, whatever. They bond it out, and then the money goes into a private till that they set up a not-for-profit, and this not-for-profit then is in charge of doling out all the $10 billion. Just like the cigarette thing. That doesn't help anybody. It just goes back into the state coffers. It doesn't go to help any person at all. Obama did this. They've all done it. It's a racket.
So the settlement is profound.
There's an attorney in Texas. There's a few attorneys that do this. That's what they do. It's all worked out with corporate America. It's an insider deal. That's what it is.
It's monumental, in fact. This is the largest public drinking water settlement in American history. And that settlement with 3M, and again, 3M is only one of the defendants, so there will be hopefully an additional settlement.
This is the MO. Either private attorneys or the Justice Department brings the case. They do. It gets a public blah, 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 and then it always settles, and then it's all sealed. That's how the government manipulates things, through either the Justice Department doing it or private attorneys. It's a racket. To deny the people of the United States just compensation for their personal injuries from all of this. Yeah, that's what it's about. Personal injury. That's what they're trying to avoid at all costs. Plus, there's no reputation hit to the corporation. But there will be once people know what about the racket. Yeah.
But that money, they will pay a minimum of $10.5 billion and up to $12.5 billion. And whether they pay $12.5 billion is dependent on how many systems they continue to test and find it. It is profound.
So they're only going to test the systems they want in the communities that they're doing deals with. Yes, southern states are getting the benefit. Yeah, not New York or other places. No, we're being locked out. All the blue states.
Because that money will be spread across these water systems, and the water systems will be able to use the money to help.
This guy is part of a fraud a racket. He's a racketeer. He is. He needs to be prosecuted by the Justice Department for racketeering. He should, and so should 3M and everybody else. It's the corporate America lock through the law system, using the federal courts.
And putting together treatment systems that will take these chemicals out of public drinking water.
He just said they're forever chemicals. He said they're forever. You can't take them out. Gosh darn. What a liar. Fraud. He should lose his license now. Now he just lost his law license. He did. You bring it before the, wherever he's licensed, you bring it before the Supreme Court of his state, the highest court, regulates the licensing. It's not a case in court. No, it's a disciplinary case. He needs to lose his license. He does, for what he just said here.
Well, and explain that then, because I know this was in Florida, this particular settlement. Does that apply for the whole country, or how does that work?
Yes, it applies to the whole country. It's a
Liar, liar, liar. He needs to lose his license. He needs disciplinary before wherever he's licensed, whether the state Supreme Court, you go through the Bar Association, the clerk of the court. You can file it with the clerk of the court, the highest court in the state, and you can file it with the a complaint with the Bar Association in the state. Yeah, they will. Both places. The clerk of the highest court in the state. It's disciplinary only. There's hundreds and hundreds of attorneys like this all across the country. Yeah, we need to flip the script. Put that on the focus. It's disciplinary. It's not a court case. It's not. Guess who decides? The justices of the court in his state decides whether he keeps his license or not the Bar Association. They won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. No, they can't. Conflict of interest. And the highest court, it might be called appellate court, Supreme Court, whatever the highest court. In New York, it's called the appellate court. They have an appellate court. That's the highest court, the appellate court. Not the Supreme Court. No, it's different in every state. But the justices decide. And it's a private internal matter. It's not public either. They decide how they're going to do it. Yeah. They would love nothing better, these justices, to get rid of these people. Because there's plenty of new, up-and-coming, third years, recent law graduates, plenty of lawyers, new, sharp, fresh, they're excellent. Be happy to step right in and take over. Retire these people, because they got a lock on all the money. They doing the same thing the doctors did with HMOs. They do. I have a friend of mine. Brilliant, whatever. He ended up working for the VA or some government thing because he couldn't have a private practice as a medical doctor. Couldn't make a living. Because the older doctors locked everybody out with the HMO. The biggest scam there ever was. Yeah. Plus, somehow at the end of the Carter administration, somehow, I don't know how exactly, it's in the overlap, somehow, they shut down the whole doctor creation pipeline even. They did. They did? Yeah, they did that too. Somebody did. Jimmy Carter didn't do it. Reagan didn't do it. And some bureaucrat. As Bob Woodward said, all the president's men. Yeah, one of those.
National class settlement. And the reason it applies to the whole country is that these 5,000 water systems that I mentioned, they're located across the United States. You know, PFAS doesn't discriminate.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. Boy, he needs to lose his license. It'd be a great stories for the Epoch Times. Because it's epic. E-P-I-C. Yeah, it's epic. The epic epoch. Yeah.
It exists everywhere. Basically, there are urban areas. Anywhere where fire foam was used and other products that can.
It's in the packaging of all of our food, for God's sakes. That's why he's doing it. 3M. Post-it notes. Glue. Everything that 3M makes. Everything they make. It's in everything. It's everywhere. Like savoir-faire.
PFAS are used. And so it is a problem.
But Klondike Cat always gets their mouse. Except he lives on in every cartoon. Yeah.
Why?
You mentioned that 3M is just the first of many. What are the next ones in line, and what can we expect to see with those?
Yeah, so we entered into a tentative settlement with DuPont Chemours, which are two companies.
Oh, DuPont de Nemours. That's the DuPont family out Delaware. Yeah, Delaware. Mm-hmm. Not that Biden has anything to do with this, the president. No, I think he'd rather go have ice cream, quite honestly. Yeah. All the president's men. We're back to Bob Woodward again. All the president's men and women, too. He's got a lot of women, you know. Yeah. Well, what happened to Pataki? Well, the first press secretary. Well, what happened to her? Seasoned professional, well-versed, knows all the issues and everything. And what do we have? We have this other woman standing there who knows nothing about anything. No, she reads everything she says, and she knows nothing. But she's out front, isn't she? Oh, she sure is. I wonder what's going on there.
That were also in this market about 3 weeks ago, and that one was for $1.185 billion. It was smaller because their market share in this particular industry was much smaller than 3M. And then obviously you have 3M. And then there are other players such as Tyco, BASF, Carrier, Buckeye, some additional companies.
BASF, that's a German, that's Deutschland. That's a German company, BASF. Oh, I see, the German connection. There it is again, the German connection. Oh my goodness, yeah, the Germans. All the Germans who came over here toward the middle end of the World War II. They built our rockets and everything else. The whole VA rocket program came to the United States. I wonder, was it always here or not? I wonder. We'll find out.
Companies that are still in the lawsuit, and we hope to one day be able to resolve the cases with them. If not, we'll have trials.
Well, and for people now worried about...
It's blackmail. They're part of a syndicate. Yeah, they are. They are. The companies are all in on it. They're all in on it. This is the MO. They've done this many times. All the way back to the cigarettes. The opioids. All the big money. For one reason. Corporations have been in bed with the states all along. They have since the 70s. They have. It's a story of a lovely lady who is bringing up 3 very lovely girls. All of them at era gold, like their mother, the youngest one in curls. Gonna tell y'all a story about a man named Jed. This poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting for some food. And up through the ground come a bubbling crude oil that is black gold Texas tea. So they loomed up the truck and they moved to Beverly. Cement pond, pop passers and all that. Yeah, they did. Mr. Drysdale.
Their health and worried about whether they've been affected by this. What would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them to, educate yourself about the issue. Look to...
Go off and die somewhere, because you're not going to get a frickin' dime to help you. It's all going to your state or to our special not-for-profit. Obama did this. He did. A big not-for-profit. I forgot what they set it up for. He did. They've all done it. Well, starting with Clinton anyway. There's something wrong with George H.W. Bush, too. Not Reagan, though. Reagan's a patriot. I don't know about the ones after him. There aren't any patriots until you get to Donald Trump, number 45. He's a patriot.
The drinking water system that you drink from, and, determine, is this an issue in my drinking water system? And then, pay careful attention because, the situation is going to get better because the EPA, like I said, over the next several years.
No, they're not. They're not. They never will. Do you think Congress is going to pass something for the EPA? It's a money grab. It's a dirty insider deal. Using the courts. And the judges can't do anything about it. They can't. Because they can't. They're not allowed to. They have a gag order. Judges have a gag order on them. They can't discuss cases. They can't. They shouldn't. Yeah. Except the Supreme Court. Well, they're collecting, they're having these arguments and adding these cases. They sure are. They're set for dates, but, well, whatever. Well, who knows when they'll ever decide them. They're going to decide them in the way they want, in the order they want, because they have one obligation as the Supreme Court of the United States. I do solemnly swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's what the Supreme Court's obligation is. Period. They have no obligation to take a case, decide a case, or anything else. They have one oath to protect and defend the Constitution. And those 9 justices, they take it seriously. They take it very seriously. That's their only purpose. That's it.
Is going to require almost the complete removal of PFAS chemicals in drinking water.
Well, great. Well, thanks for taking the time for this. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, and thanks for having me.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Here it was. 3M settles. I know. Well, here's the story. It was from June 22nd, 2023. It's an old episode. But guess what? It's all in play still. And there's settlements. Guess what happens to a settlement? You make a motion to have the settlements opened because they weren't tried. No, they could just, anybody can motion. Not just the parties. It's federal court. Federal rules allow it. That's right. They do. Oh, well. Oh, well. Thank you, Epoch Times. Thank you. And Crossroads. Thank you.